Sunday after a good weekend of hoops. SimWorld TV sort of doubleheader, broken up by 5 hours. Big win from Bad Boys basketball. Big win for Bad Boys. They get, interesting thought. Do they prefer to match up better with Rocky Mountain? Is that why they go all out for that game? I don't know. Similarly, Gotham 5 had an opportunity there to really solidify themselves as a team that they would have owned the 1 seed. They could have guaranteed they played Bad Boys, but they didn't. That was a good game. Other side of the bracket, Best Coast Ballers suddenly the number 2 seed in the Legend Conference. Do you love it? Are they the second best team in the conference? I've got thoughts on the conference that I don't know how crazy I am about them, but sometimes I feel like the Legend Conference isn't quite as good as the Legacy Conference, despite the records. But I don't know if I want to die on that hill, so I'm not, soft launching that one. But a big win nonetheless. Tough night. At least we got more usage out of Corey Yams for Showtime. That's a positive. But that's not the point. The point of today's podcast is to look at the 5 total matchups that we most want to, we being me, of course, because I'm not speaking for anybody else, but that I'm most looking forward to or what I most like to see, and a little bit of why. We're not going to do an even split, and then we'll do 4, so we will do an even split. 2 in each conference, and then 1, what I would like to see as the championship game. These are not predictions. Not a huge fan of predictions, because then you start tying yourself to one thing, and then, you're going to get more predictions wrong than you're going to get them right, but we've got some things brewing in the days to come here before August 12th. So I'm not picking a championship game. All I'm doing is saying this is the matchup I like to see the most. So let's start in the Legacy Conference, shall we? All right, first one up. The matchup I'd most like to see, not most, but one of the matchups I like to see, Gotham 5 versus Beyond the Arch. Why? Gotham 5 is probably the longest team in SimWorld hoops. Mackenzie Mbako at the 3. You got Aaron Lovejoy, Mugen Williams. They've done a phenomenal job in creating talent and developing a roster that fits well. Meanwhile, Tyson Simpson is indisputably the best big man in SimWorld hoops. So how would you, if you're Coach Kusa, go toe-to-toe in scheming that? Yeah, you've got Nick Ori as a great number 2 option, but the game revolves around Tyson Simpson, so it would, most times out, Bad Boys, Gotham 5 plays really well against other teams with size. They didn't do a great job of slowing Lorenzo Phenom in that matchup with Bad Boys basketball, so I'd be interested to see what the defensive approach is for Gotham 5 facing the most dominant. We big man. We love Mugen Williams on this podcast. We love Aaron Lovejoy in terms of what they bring, but they haven't proven to be paint stoppers. They're great when you're driving and you have to try to go through that. That's when they get switched on to guards, they're phenomenal. But when they have to go toe-to-toe against a big man, I don't think they've proven time and time again that they're able to match that as much. So that would be an impressive opportunity for Tyson Simpson to say, look, we're 18-13, by the way. We're not that bad of a basketball team. We're a really good basketball team. We'd be a 5 seed. We'd be a 6 seed no matter where you put Beyond the Arch. But they didn't play well out the gate. They've played phenomenally late, and it would be a really big statement from a Tyson Simpson standpoint to say, look, I am the best player in the league if I can go through teams like Gotham 5 to do it. Where we would see that, Gotham 5 still has the potential to move up. Now, they're done, right? They're done playing. Gotham 5 is they're 22-9. That's going to be their record. Beyond the Arch is locked in at the number 6 seed. Gotham 5, if Rocky Mountain goes 1-1, Gotham 5 would maintain the 1 seed. So we would have to wait until the second round to potentially see that. Meanwhile, if the Originators win their game, it wouldn't matter. So Gotham 5 would stay at 2. So we would be looking at, Beyond the Arch would obviously have to pull an upset one way or another, but we would be looking at a team needing to to be be on the ice would have to beat a team, get them into the conference semifinals. That's where we would potentially see this. So that's the first matchup I'm looking for. All right, matchup number 2 in the Legacy Conference. And I'm trying to do these that are more, I'm not saying they're unlikely to happen, but just higher likelihood that could happen. Rocky Mountain and the Originators. We would see this depending on final standings in either the finals or the conference finals or the conference semifinals, if you will. But why do I want to see Rocky Mountain and the OGs? Because I actually think Justin Bell is pretty underrated right now. And I think having an opportunity for Justin Bell to go out and prove against a really good basketball team that they can hang with them, I think it's a really good matchup for both sides. Meanwhile, DJ Wagner we've talked about this a lot, he hasn't had that statement game, right? He's averaging 20 points a game because he just consistently gives you 20 to 25, but he doesn't really blow up for 35 points per game. And granted, Justin Bell doesn't. This Rocky Mountain team does not have a star in the we're going to score 35 points vein. But I think this will be a huge leaping point for Justin Bell, Zane Davis, Lucas Banks. This is a really deep basketball team with Rocky Mountain, and it's an equally deep Originators team. They played pretty well, 85-77 when they matched up on May 10th. That, I think, could be a nice stage setter for what could be an intriguing matchup from a strategic standpoint. But again, if Justin Bell, who I've said for a while is probably underrated at 30, if he has a good game, or if Lucas Banks has a great game, Daquan McDougal, one of those guys goes off, I think you start looking at them a little bit differently because they rise to the occasion when they need to. All right, let's switch over to the Legend Conference. The first one's pretty easy, and the first one we're going to get, Bay Area versus Showtime. 4 versus 5, they've already locked in on that one. Both teams are going to be 19-12. H-Town is going to stay at the 3 seed because of the division lead that they have. But we got this thing early on in the season. You get the LA-San Francisco rivalry, or LA-Bay Area rivalry. You get pretty big-name stars, Trey Hyman, Corey Yams, 2 guys that I think are highly... I don't think Trey Hyman's underutilized, but I think there's an opportunity for him to be bigger than this. Look, I don't think we're getting Bronny back, right? I don't think Bronny James is coming back. That's fine. But this is a huge game for Corey Yams, and I still think there's an underutilization of Israel Vines. But let's go to Nick Moss, who had a number of shots in that loss to Best Coast. This is a massive opportunity for both of those guys, and really anyone on this team, to step in and say, the way that we were operating for the beginning of this season was just incorrect. We should have been doing more beyond just revolving everything around Bronny. And this is a chance now for them to start proving it. They've gone, 1-2 since Bronny has been out. That's fine. I'm not raising the fire alarms on that because I think they're basically figuring out their team like you would at the beginning of the year, just at the end of the season. So I think there's still a huge opportunity for this group. Still really like them. And if they can go up against Bay Area, that's a big win. Meanwhile, Bay Area's been struggling. This was a team that I said I wouldn't be surprised if they went undefeated at the beginning of the year. I thought it. I never said it, and I'm glad I didn't, because they've struggled lately. And their immense depth, I think, has been their biggest downfall because, again, we've said it many times, they haven't developed the one guy, the takeover guy, late in a game that you turn to and he can carry it. Now, some coaches don't utilize that. We saw that last night against Bad Boys Basketball. Gotham 5 did not utilize their best player in Mackenzie Mbako. But Bay Area has a lot of guys that could be 1B. Can one of them become 1A? Or, on the flip side, do we even need that? And that'll be the first stepping stone to figuring that out. Our matchup number 2, Southeast Select Best Coast Ballers. This is going to be our, in all likelihood, 1 versus 2 matchup, and I'll confirm that for us in a second here. But why do I want to see it? Because this is a team, and this is a star matchup that we just have not gotten yet. You got Lace Darius, you got Trey Turner. Yes, LDO is a streaky shooter. He's inefficient, but I think he's inefficient because he's being asked to do basically everything. He is being tasked with playing first, second, and third option. Now, this could be a matchup that falls because we're gonna always see this in the championship round of the conference level. But this would be a chance for both players to really stamp themselves as the best guy. And that was an argument that was legitimately had at the beginning of last season, or at the beginning of this season. This would be the final stamp of that, the final input of it, if you will. Trey Turner has a great game. You cannot take LDO over him. Vice versa. If LDO has a great game, I think there's an argument, there's some wiggle room for Trey Turner to be taken over LDO in terms of like who would you rather have. But that conversation gets much shorter because now you've got the ultimate trump card. We won the game. And so this is a hugely exciting matchup. Best Coast Ballers hypothetically could get to the top seed if they win out and Southeast Select loses their last game. But you're looking at two stars, likely stars at the next level, going toe-to-toe. Is it Carmelo, LeBron level? I don't know. But it's got the type of starting point where you say, this was the first time they met, and here's every other time that they went toe-to-toe in big matchups, because I do think their paths are bound to cross into the future. And then the one matchup I want to see, Legend Conference in the Race to One championship game. And for me, it's Rocky Mountain and it's Southeast. I think Rocky has done a phenomenal job of showcasing that they can win without needing a superstar, and Southeast has built their entire operation around a star. And it would be an opportunity for us to look at that and say, this is what pathway do you really need to go, right? What pathway do you really need to use to get to a championship team? At the same time, as we talked about with Rocky Mountain going up against the OGs is a matchup to watch. If Rocky Mountain is a good run and Justin Bell carries it, you start re-looking at who Justin Bell is as a player. You start looking at him and saying, can he be more than what we've originally thought of? He's hyper efficient. He shoots well from all three levels. He's got room to grow, and if he can be the number one guy as a 16-year-old, I think his future ceiling starts rising considerably. Just because he's not doing 30 points per game right now, 25 points per game right now, that's fine. Because Trey Turner wasn't doing 25 points per game. He was great, but it was always, well, there's some room for improvement. He's shown that. I think Justin Bell could show that as well. So those are the 5 matchups. Everything, again, begins August 12th. Make sure you're tuning in. It's going to be an exciting closeout here, man. But we still got a little bit to go before then, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.